Hey, what's up guys? It's Pharaoh Tyga here and welcome. Today we're doing something a little different. We're doing a champion tier list in Cursed FOAD. And before we start this video, I'd like to remind you guys, these are my opinions as a player. You can feel free to disagree if you want, but keep in mind I'm pretty much one of, if not the only, content creators for this game that actually plays all these legends actively. So I pretty much think I have a non-biased point of view when it comes to ranking them on my tier list. Alright, so I've broken down my tier list into 4 sections: broken, S, A, and B. There's not really like a character that's very bad in Cursed due to there being traps and rituals. You can literally play this entire game without using a single ability and never even without ever having to use abilities. So for the first broken legend, it's going to have to be Annie. Annie's ability literally allows her to slow down time and play whatever is happening in front of her frame by frame. It's also silent and it happens in real time. So you could be somewhere else, but she's acting on the past version of you, which will affect you in real time. The only way you can tell bullet time has been used on you is after you're dead, because the bullet times icon will be right next to your killer's name in the kill feed. This ability simply shouldn't exist in a battle royale or any PvP game in general, but for some reason it is. It's amazing in concept, but in practicality is extremely broken. I've suggested several reworks, example like she having like a field and area of effect around her where everyone gets slowed down in real time, everything and everyone, so including bullets, grenade explosion times, like everything. She should literally be like a moving or sprinting slow trap, which that's what the slow trap actually does in this game. So yeah, she's broken, and please don't play her. If you're killing players using her, no, it's mainly because of the bullet time. You could be good, but if you're killing people in bullet time, dude, it's because of the bullet time. All right, so for my next champion in the broken role, it's going to have to be Viper. So Viper's ability literally allows her to have these 3 teleports, and she does them consecutively and instantly. What this does is allow her to create this time gap between you reacting to her and her shooting you. So when a Viper jumps against another player, right, and she jumps behind them, she generally has, as a good Viper player, someone who knows how to use Viper, you should have a general knowledge of where your opponent is and flip around to it after you jump. Your opponent only has sound and then has to flip around and now actually focus where you may be, because behind you it could have easily gone any angle within 100-degree space behind them. This allows Viper to literally start taking shots on you before you do, which in this game is extremely valuable because this game TTK is very short. So yeah, when you do this in a fight, it grants you an insane advantage. And what's more, even if your opponent catches up to you, you could repeat it again and then again. So you have 3 times to do this move over and over and over again. And to make matters worse, there's a ritual in the game called no cooldown ritual, which allows her to spam her ability over and over. This is one of the worst states of the game you can ever witness, because when someone is using it, it makes it feel like everyone else can't touch them. It's not because of their skill or their wits, it literally makes you untouchable. If all you're doing is viping around your enemies, how are your enemies gonna catch up? She's literally very OP, mainly when she uses that thing, and very broken, and still broken, I mean, even with the regular base model of her. So yeah, Viper is broken, and the only way I think they could balance Viper is to put cooldowns on the subsequent jumps. The first jump should be the surprise, and the rest you need to have a cooldown on it, because without that, Viper is always going to dominate. And it's no surprise that all the boards, at least 95 players on the boards, are playing Viper. She literally makes players better. You could be an average player, get good at using Viper, and you become instantly a sweat. If you're a sweat and you use Viper, you become a god, god, legend, like if you get what I mean. She literally vamps up players due to exactly the things I've mentioned, which makes her extremely broken. So for the next one is going to be Katrina. Katrina came out this season in a mess state. She wasn't really good, but then they buffed her. So her ability allows her to put up a wall of stones which orbits around her, and makes it so every damage she takes is literally next to nothing. The only time you could actually have a substantial amount is when you're shooting her for headshots, but even that, you shouldn't actively fight her directly when she has her shields on. The only time you could be confident to do that is when you have the silence heads back. Aside that, you need to evade it consistently. If you don't, you're gonna die, because you are not gonna survive a direct exchange with her, because she's definitely gonna tank your shots. But you, if you're not playing Katrina or having or using silence heads back on her, you don't. So you have to play around it till the ability ends. What makes her even more broken is that the ability lasts for quite a long time, and what's worse, the cooldown is short. So she benefits from the ability floor that I mentioned earlier, that allows players to literally spam their abilities over and over again, because during the abilities usage the cooldown has already started. So by the time the ability ends, the cooldown is almost at its end, and that's the case for Katrina. So she benefits heavily from that, and that makes her extremely broken to deal with all players. And for the final broken champion, it's going to be Boko. Boko's ability allows him to summon 3 zombies that are intelligent. They carry MP40s, and their aim is impeccable. So if you've seen me play, you've seen me die to Boko, and you've seen me almost die to him several times. When he has 3 zombies out, it's literally almost a death sentence to face him in a head-on fight. If you do that, you're probably gonna die, and the fact that you don't get to control them when you're playing him is quite annoying. And also the weapons they hold have little recoil. It's like it's overwhelming to deal with a Boko in most situations, right? Because you can't use silence head back to stop his zombies. You need to fight them, and if you're fighting them, you need to, there's so many ways Boko can outplay you, right, when he's played right, and the right way to play him is so bad, guys. The right way to play him, you could literally run around with a pan and have your zombies do literally the entire work for you. He is the character to play if you're struggling with aiming and you need help, or if you don't have buddies, you could literally play Boko and have an entire army of aimbots to support you. It doesn't fit in this BR game, and what makes him worse, he doesn't benefit from the ability floor, but he benefits from the huge mistake they made to allow players to select the same champion multiple times in a team. So a 5-man squad, which is what it is now, can literally have 5 Bokos in their team, which means they can have a max of 15 Boko zombies. 3 is such a hell to deal with. 15 is impossible. 15 Boko zombies in a team, plus you have to deal with the 5 players who are running Boko too as well. That's cancer at that point. I don't get why they haven't fixed that champion selection thing. They haven't balanced it, but with that, a team of Bokos is cancer to deal with, and they need to fix that. And also they need to rework how you control them, and maybe give you the ability to possess one of them virtually, because it is in enlisted, and I feel like when they do that on Boko will still be strong, but he'll be a lot more interesting for the better players to run him. For my first S tier legend, it's going to be S tier champion, it's going to be Ocelot. Ocelot's ability allows him to go invincible and invulnerable. So when he goes invincible and invulnerable, he can come out of it almost instantly and go into it instantly as well. This allows him to make so many plays, but unfortunately the player base that run him for passive plays only. If you've watched my gameplay on Boko, I run him extremely aggressively, because that's what it does. If you've watched any gameplay from Apex Legends, there's a legend that this legend is based off of. She's called Wraith. Her ability is practically Ocelot's ability, but Ocelot's is on steroids. It's way better than hers, because he goes practically invincible, and the only way you can track him is with his cameraman or his footsteps, and he goes into it almost invincible instantly. He's one of the fun legends I've ever played in this game, like one of the best actually, because it gives me this player mentality that you have this form of security whenever you engage fights. So engaging fights, even when it's in a horrible situation, it's much more feasible because you are playing Ocelot. Also, Viper does kind of give that player mentality as well, but it's more pronounced on Ocelot than it is on Viper. Not that it's not pronounced on Viper, but with Ocelot, because you literally get into an untouchable state, that mentality is very much there when you are playing him. For my next S tier, and this is going to be a shocker to some of you, is Huli. For some reason, the player base in this game is entirely used to play their abilities doing everything for them. So when this character came out, literally everyone and their mom was saying this girl is weak. I kept sticking to this girl being quite good, because as an aggressive player myself, one of the things I find myself lacking is enemy awareness. You can never be fully aware of your environment in a battle royale game, but with this girl you could be as close to that as you can. Her ability allows her to scan enemies and constantly keep that scan on for the entirety of the ability. The ability lasts for like 10 to 20 seconds. It's really good. Whenever I use her, I'm so much at peace, because I know when I'm looting, I'm gonna pop it. When I go into a town and I'm not sure enemies are there or not, I'm gonna pop it. And finally, when I'm looking for these last minute players, the players that waste so much time end zone, I just pop it and I know exactly where they are. And I'm pretty decent at this game. I don't need abilities to do my work for me. So when I get into a fight, I can easily disengage the ability and use my guns and traps or mystics rituals to engage fights, which is how I play this game. So I and maybe some few others really do understand the strength of this character. She's very good. She's not A, guys. She's super strong, and I suggest if you're good at this game, you should try Huli. She's amazing and you wouldn't go wrong running Huli. For my next A tier is gonna be Clyde. I know new players will value this champion as broken, but come on, when you get to some point in this game, this is like one of the easiest abilities to counter. So Clyde goes into a beast mode, and he doesn't use guns when he's in the beast mode. All he does is melee. The thing is, he has more bullet tolerance when he's in beast mode. He heals in it slightly, he's faster in it, and the way he runs, it reduces his hitbox as well. So when you're running Clyde, the thing about the Clyde players you see nowadays and what makes them extremely easy to counter is they go into beast mode in a fixed point, instead of them using their traps or the jump ability now, which is far more effective when you're using it on Clyde. I'll show that in my next gameplay on him somewhere down the next season. It makes it so you go into beast mode when you can get into beast mode and you're right next to the guy. You don't have to stand at one point to use it. That's a big mistake to do. Use your ability, use your mystic science with the in combination with Clyde, and then Clyde can be maybe an S tier, but with that you have to put in effort. So I generally put him at A. And also there's one last thing about Clyde. When Clyde goes into beast mode with a weapon already drawn, should he come out of beast mode without swapping the weapon whilst he's in beast mode, which you can do, that weapon comes out immediately. It comes out like he was always with it. So you could use that trait, right, to force a player to run from you when you are in beast mode, and then immediately come out and start shooting with your gun out. I haven't seen many players do this, but when you do that, you can easily have your Clyde at an S range, because doing that, it's so good. It's so I've used it to kill so many players. It's insane how good doing that move is on Clyde. So yeah, you should try that. You should really put in effort in all these characters here, and you'd be amazed how good these guys are. These guys just make it so your ability does almost everything for you. But these guys, you would have to put in effort as compared to the ones above here. And finally, for my B tier, Thor. Thor's ability is to go up and scar some distance and then land down with a slam. All the slam does is give the player it's slammed in close proximity some recoil and push them back. And also when you have made it, you get to see your enemies highlighted, and that's it. The problem about this is that Thor is extremely easy to counter. You can stand and shoot him whilst he's coming at you, or you could literally wait for him to land, ignore the recoil. This game, when you get to some point, recoil is not something that should be a problem for you. At least the recoil even he is given shouldn't be a problem for you. At this point of the game, I can still like hit at least 80% of my shots, even with high recoil ritual on, and how much more the slight amount of recoil Thor gives. So even when he hits you, you still stand a fair chance of beaming him. The thing about this guy is, aside from the movement, which is the best part about him, using him for fights isn't efficient, and successfully even landing of a player isn't rewarding enough. So I've been suggesting them to give him like some slight damage and the ability to total vehicles when he lands next to them, because when he does that, that would actually put him an A tier for me, because that would give him more of like an edge for successfully landing with the thunder strike. But unfortunately, the rewards for it, it's not enough. So Thor is a B tier. If you are good at playing Thor, which is fine, that means you can actually play all these other guys and be far better off, because playing Thor is practically like playing this game without using abilities, because the ability isn't significant enough or unique enough to generally outplay anyone who is decent at the game running any of these ones above here. If you are beating players with Thor, it's mainly because of your general skill. So you should generally upgrade to any of the players above here and you'll be far better off, trust me. Alright guys, that's it for my champion tier list. I'll be doing more videos like this next season, and yeah, I'll be doing a lot more tutorials next season as that's been requested again. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and like the video if you liked it, and if you disliked it, go down to the comments and tell me why. See you guys in the next one.